All
Do I
right.
hit got it? I'm supposed
Yeah.
to hit got it. Okay. That
Yeah.
way it gives my consent. Okay.
All right. So it's recording live right now, but also keep in mind that after it's all done, like I'm gonna be able to edit and clip different sections of this video. Like even like this section that we're talking on right now, I'll probably just clip that off and then start from where we
Hmm.
start from. You know what I mean? All right.
Okay.
So,
Do I get to see the edited part
yes.
or
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah. So
Okay.
what I edit and I put together, that's what it's going to be, uploaded onto the YouTube channel and then onto the website and stuff like that.
Okay.
The edited version. All right, let's kick it off. Good afternoon. I'm Bryce Mallory. I have a mission that I've been working on to try to help Sergeant First Class Jorge Otero receive the Medal of Honor that he is long overdue from the Vietnam War. I am interviewing different soldiers that served with him throughout the course of his time in Vietnam, not only for the mission to help him get the Battle of Fuque Gen Silver Star upgraded, but also to help accurately record the story of one of the greatest warriors in United States military history, and then also the story of the soldiers that served with him. Today I have David Hunt with me. Good afternoon, David.
Hello. How you doing?
I greatly appreciate you taking the time to do this recording and this interview. So you served with
Okay.
Sergeant First Class Rarioteta, Sergeant Rock.
Yes, I did.
That's awesome. I'd actually like to start the story with you way back when in the origin. Where were you born? Where'd you grow up?
Okay. I was born in the Midwest, Peoria, Illinois.
All right.
Grew up there. Lived there until I was about 50 years old.
And then where'd you move to from Peoria?
Well, after I retired, I moved to Florida for a couple of years, and I was still in the military at that time, in the reserves, and I got activated through my reserve unit, and I was deployed to Iraq and Kuwait. And while I was there, I was offered a job and transferred to Phoenix, Arizona, where I came out to Phoenix, helped set up a new reserve unit, and I stayed there until I officially retired. See, I was 60 years old. They had to let me retire. And 19, see, I retired my official February 1, 2008. And I've
Gotcha.
been here ever since.
So for your initial entry into service, were you drafted or was it voluntary enlistment?
No, I was originally drafted and right out of high school. I got my first draft notice the same day I graduated from high school. So I didn't have a whole lot of time to think about it. And they told me that following fall, I would be probably processed, inducted, and I was the following October of '66. I was inducted and sent to Fort Campbell, Kentucky for my basic training. And from then, I left there thinking that I was going to be stuck in the infantry. They sent me to a fuel and electric school in Aberdeen Proving Grounds. While I was there, I started to kind of enjoy the Army and had a kind of a good time. It was like going to college. From there, I went to Fort Benning, Georgia, where I went to jump school. After jump school, I was assigned to the maintenance unit at Fort Bragg, North Carolina, in the 82nd, where I was a fuel electric specialist. I was stationed there again. My attitude towards the Army was somewhat changing, but starting to like it. At this point, I think it would have been August or September of 67, I got transferred. Well, everybody, just about everybody in the 82nd at that time who hadn't been to Vietnam got transferred to the 101st. Everybody in the 101st, not everybody, but a lot of people got transferred to the 82nd that had already done a tour over there. So when I showed up to Fort Campbell again, got processed in, and to my amazement, I got stuck into the infantry. Had no idea what was going on. And that would have been about September of 67. And this is when I met Sergeant Ontario. He was my platoon sergeant. And I learned a lot off of him, thank God. I feel like he's probably saved my life more times than I know just by following his advice and his training. And we were deployed together from Fort Campbell. I think we left there December, I don't remember the exact date, early December of 67. And we flew on C-141s all the way to Vietnam. Long plane ride. And from that point on, all my infantry training was OJT with Sergeant Ontario. And that's how I ended up in the infantry. So from that point on, I mean, several things happened. While we were stationed in Cu Chi, we were there for about the first, I want to say 1 or 2 months. And we had this training exercise, and it was supposedly just a training exercise where we all, the whole battalion, marched on foot, left Cu Chi, the base, and we start marching through the jungles, and ended up getting ambushed. So this training exercise really turned into a combat exercise. We lost 2 men that day. We had 2 KIAs, and I think we had about 10 or 11 wounded. That's when I first saw Sergeant Ontario in action. I can remember everybody in our platoon just about being pinned down. I can look up and see him, and I could see the look on his face. He knew what he was doing. I think he enjoyed it because I swear to God, to this day, he had somewhat of a smile on his face. He started kicking people in the butts and hitting them up beside the helmet and telling them to move, giving them directions. Then all of a sudden, everybody came to life, started moving the way they were supposed to move. And so he probably saved quite a few lives just that day alone. And after it was all said and done with, during that time, a helicopter was shot down over the top of us. And of course, everybody on board was killed. So we were tasked with setting up a perimeter. We had to guard the helicopter all night until they could get someone out there the next day to recover it. And that was my first experience in combat with Sergeant Ontario, which was called a training mission, supposedly. And after that was said and done with, we went back to Cu Chi, and we did some combat assaults with helicopters in various locations after that. Then in about the middle end of January, I think it was, we were all put on C-131s, flew up to Da Nang, and we got off the plane there, and they put us on trucks, went over to Quang Tri, Providence, and we started operating out of that area. Spent the rest of the time between Hue and all the way up to the border going into North Vietnam. in on the coastal line there. That's basically our whole area of operation that we did. And then when the Battle of Way was going on, we were sent in north of Way to intercept reinforcements of the NVA. And we'd stumble on villages full of NVA. And then after that, we had to basically take them out one village at a time. And I don't remember the exact dates. I don't remember the names of the villages, but I can assure you that Sergeant Ontario was, probably the best leader that I ever saw in the field. So I don't, as far as witnessing things, I saw him crawl under fire to retrieve a fellow soldier's body. They weren't sure he was dead or alive. Drug it back under fire, and I witnessed him do that. I witnessed him calling in live fire artillery almost on top of not only him, all of us, just to protect us. I know he gave a lot of advice, shall I say, to the battalion commander when certain orders were given that he didn't agree with. He would basically let his opinion be known, shall I say. And the battalion commander usually went along with it, even though the company commander wasn't happy about it. And one instance I can remember where we were pinned down on a hedgerow trying to take this village, and the company commander wanted us to basically charge in there with guns blazing, which we would have lost probably a lot of men. And Sergeant Otero told him that wasn't the right smart thing to do, and he didn't think he should do it. The company commander called the battalion commander on the radio, told him what Sergeant Otero didn't want to obey his orders. He asked the company commander what he wanted to do, and after he told him, draw back, send in more artillery, more air support, and then go back in. Battalion commander advised the company commander that maybe he should just do that. And that's what happened. And he probably saved quite a few lives just that day alone. Let's see. Trying to think of other things. One in particular on a different village. We lost quite a few guys, at least 3 or 4 I can remember, that were walking point getting into the village. We had to retreat. Called in more artillery. They even called in they had a naval ship off the coast there that would shoot their big Navy guns in on this village all night. Sound like cars going over your head. And after all night, we go in the next day, and it was hard to believe they were still there waiting for us. We got halfway into the village, and then all of a sudden, we got the enemy shooting from behind us, catches us in a crossfire. And Sergeant Ontario had us at that point retreat. We had to do an assault just to get back out. And then we waited for more artillery, went back in. And this second time, after every bunker was taken, we posted at least one soldier at each bunker with the instruction that if anybody came back up out of that hole again from a tunnel, he was supposed to take care of them. And that kept us from getting caught in the crossfire the second time. And eventually we took the village. I don't remember how many NVA were killed, but there's quite a few. Plus, we lost some men that day too. see, I'm trying to think of some other things I can think about Sergeant Ontario. I know none of his night ambushes. We took turns doing squad, platoon size ambushes at night. And some of them got ambushed at night by the NVA or the VC, some of them didn't. Now, one time I can remember Sergeant Ontario's platoon ever getting ambushed at night on a night patrol. He literally walked, he would think like they would. He could tell you if they were in the area. Uh, his knowledge of the area and of the enemy tactics was just unreal. Let's see, what else can I think of? It's hard. I mean, we're talking over 50 years. The
So,
last time I can,
so the unit that you was attached to him with, that was the first of the 5 Deuce? First of the 5
yeah, 8 company.
Okay.
Yeah, 8 company, first platoon, first 5 Deuce. Uh, and last time I recall see Sergeant Ontario was he was going home on a leave, carrying his duffel bag, and I yelled, "Where are you going?" He told me he was going home to Puerto Rico, try to talk his wife out of not leaving him. And of course, he's halfway joking. I said, "How'd you get a leave?" And he said, "I re-up to come back again." So that would have been at least his 4th tour. And I just couldn't believe it. And that was the last time I saw him, because by the time he came back, I had already left the area, so to speak. Got wounded and got sent back to the hospital. But I know he had at least 5 or 6 Purple Hearts. He got wounded in the leg one night or one day, and the next day he could have he was back in the field, walking with a limp. That's how dedicated he was to his men and to his cause. Not too many people would do that. Just can't, trying to think of, there's probably a million things I could go through, but little
Let's
things that all add up. But
let's
anyway, go ahead.
let's talk a little bit about his leadership and his training for his men while he was in country. Um, from everything I understand, he spent an exceptional amount of time in not just in performing his tasks, but in training his soldiers.
Well, he spent a lot of time, in the field during that couple of months preparing to go over to Vietnam, where he was, a main part of the instruction, teaching tactics to his soldiers. And put it this way, if you was on a patrol with him, you felt a lot safer than anybody else. So, not that our unit didn't receive any losses, but he people felt that he wouldn't put your life in danger unnecessarily, and I still felt that way to this day. So
For the Battle of Phu Jin, the Silver Star that he received was from assaulting a machine gun nest. Um, from others that served with him, I continually hear over and over again that he would teach that he would teach it by example. Is that something that you'd heard of as far as his reputation in training for his soldiers to
well,
during combat to perform that technique to show his soldiers how to overcome it?
well, yeah. I mean, during training, but training in the States doing that is a whole lot different doing it in real life. Uh, Now, during that particular battle, I was not there. We had already came back from the Ashaw Valley once, I think, and it was my turn to go on R&R. So, thanks to my lucky stars, I think I was on R&R during that time. And by the time I got back, uh, that battle was over with. where I lost one of my best friends in that battle. So, uh, but you know, everybody that ever was in a unit with Sergeant Ontario would tell you that he was probably the best soldier they ever worked with. I never heard anyone say anything bad about him. And if you had to go out in the field with someone in a combat zone, that's the man you wanted to be with.
So you was with Sergeant Rock during the Tet Offensive.
Correct. Yeah. Uh, like I said, we were during a Tet offensive. We were north away and running into, setting up ambushes, uh, hitting villages with reinforcements into them. Eventually, we went into for a short period of time. Uh, by that time, most of the way was secured at that time. By the time we got back down in there, we were in way for probably maybe 10 days or so. Then they put us on choppers and sent us back up north. Uh, Matter of fact, it was kind of a joke. April Fool's Day, 1968. We were on the DMZ zone between North and South Vietnam, and we were patrolling that area, uh, setting up night ambushes. We never hit any activity during that time, but we always felt that it was kind of strange being there. It's kind of eerie. Just looking over into that DMZ zone kind of gave you a weird feeling. And but we were in a fire base, and I don't remember the name of it, with a company of Marines, and we were a platoon of Army with a company of Marines at this time, and uh, got rocketed and mortared several times while we were there. The Marines took some casualties, uh, but we were lucky. We had a few minor things, but nothing really big. But Sergeant Ontario would always take us on patrol the next day just to get us out of there, I think. And I think finally the Marines caught on. He's volunteered to go on patrol every day. Then they caught on, so then they decided maybe they ought to take their turn and go on patrol. But he was I don't know what to say, just great. Trusted him with my life many times.
Let me break from that for a second for a couple other questions that I kind of know the answer to, but it's nice to hear the firsthand experience. So how about soldiers? If you don't have beans and bullets, then well, a war doesn't go forward. So
Yeah,
when you were not in the field, how was the food?
I was what now? I
The
couldn't
food,
hear.
the food, the chow.
Oh, yeah. Well, in the field, we usually got one hot meal a day if they could get to us by chopper, and they give us a resupply. The night chopper would come in right before dark, and we would get the resupplies. Fill up your canteens with water. They give you 2C rations, and then they would put the Merrimack cans out in the line. Go through the line, get your hot meal, put everything back, and chopper would take off, fill up on ammo after all that. And then after the chopper took off, of course, you took off, but you didn't want to stay there that night. So every night we moved right before dark, and just to keep the enemy guessing on where we were at. So if they could get to us, it wasn't too bad. There was a few times they couldn't get to us, and they would just drop off C rations for 5 or 6 days at a time. Now, you know, that got a little old after a while. And of course, back in the base camps, you know, that was like a hotel. You got hot meals 3 times a day back there. But we didn't spend much time in the big base camps. Very, very, very little. Uh, but that's about the best I can think of about the chow.
Did you guys ever have any interpreters with you?
Oh yeah, uh, we had interpreters. They were South Vietnamese soldiers, and we had what they called Kit Carson scouts. The Kit Carson scouts were captured VC who supposedly were re-educated. They were there to help us. They acted as interpreters, and especially if they were captured in the area that we were working, so they knew the area. Uh, some of them worked out pretty well. Some of them didn't. Some of them, first chance they got, they'd take their rifle and disappear, and you wouldn't see them again. Some of them worked out. I remember one, he actually helped quite a bit, and he found out later the VC killed his family because they considered him a traitor. And needless to say, he was very upset. And I don't know whatever happened to him, but other than that, thank you. That's pretty much it for the interpreters. We usually had at least 1 or 2 interpreters with us. We had dog scouts with us a few times, which was nice, especially at nighttime when they had the dogs out. You would maybe rest a little bit. It's pretty hard to sneak up on a dog. And one night, it was during the Tet offensive. This is a time when I feel like he probably saved my life and several others in our squad. It was raining all day. It was miserable. And we decided they're going to dig in this night. And it was sand dunes and the sand was all wet. And we're trying to dig foxholes. We settle in for the night, rained all night, and we got hit. The DC made it into our perimeter, throwing satchels in foxholes. They killed, our first sergeant got killed that night. Our senior medic, he got killed that night. And these were positions that were inside the perimeter. Well, there's probably at least 4 or 5 others that got killed. I don't know how many got wounded. But Sergeant Ontario realized what was going on. He got our platoon together. We formed our own perimeter around our 2 or 3 positions there. And he said, I don't care what position or what direction they come. If you don't know it, you shoot him. And that one guy in our platoon got hurt that night. So I felt like he saved my life that night. And probably everybody, at least everybody else is, the next day, I know they medevaced out quite a few. See, what else? Trying to think of other things.
And they may not cut. They may not even cut. There's some stuff that might not come to you now, and it might, in between now and the next interview, and maybe even hearing some other testimonies when other people when other people do the interviews with me. During your time in Vietnam, did you guys ever coordinate with any foreign militaries like the Australians or?
No, not while I was there. We were just the only other soldiers we would once in a while the Vietnamese. the South Vietnamese Arvins would, a few of them would work with us once in a while. Worked with the Navy one time and tried to do a land assault with those boats, but that was not, that didn't work out too good. That was the only time we worked with the Navy. And other than that, the only time I would see the foreign, like the South Koreans and stuff, would be back in the big base camps, like Benoit or places like that. You'd run into them back there. But other than that, never saw them out in the field. So,
Gotcha. So let's go to coming home. How was it after you came home? You said that you came home wounded.
yeah, I was lucky. They told me it was $1 million wound. That means it was bad enough that it wouldn't. I didn't have to suffer any permanent damage. After I spent about a month in the hospital, I got to go home, and I got home at the end of September of '68, I think it was, and it was kind of weird. I mean, you go from being in a combat zone, and then you're back in the States, where the general population acted like they didn't know what was going on. Most of them didn't even care. Uh, I only had one friend that actually picked me up and took me out, bought me a drink, and welcomed me home. And it was, they acted like if you were in the military and if you were in Vietnam, you just, I just got the feeling they didn't care. So it was that way for quite a few years. And gradually it turned around where I think, you know, uh, especially after Desert Storm 1, when they, figured out they have to treat their veterans a lot better when they come back from war. And I think they started realizing how they treated the Vietnam veterans, and it has gotten better. So I was just happy I got home.
So once you got home, you were still in the military at that time, and continued on after that.
No, I was medically discharged. Oh, I got a discharge.
Right.
Wait a minute. That when I was completely out, except for you had to stay in the reserves
Right.
because you had 2 years active duty, 4 years reserves. So when I finished that up, it's probably 10 years. And going to sound crazy, but I kind of missed it. And I felt guilty in a way because I made it back and some of my friends didn't. So I felt best way to honor them and their memories was to, you know, stay in the military and try to do a good job. So I went back into the Army Reserves and I stayed in the active Army Reserves, until I was 60 years old. I had some good times and some bad times. I got to go to Panama. I been to Kuwait, Iraq. Uh, so when I came back from Iraq, I got to they sent me out here to Phoenix, and I was on active duty out here. Oh, probably 4 years before I finally retired, and I count my time being activated. Probably had about 8 years active duty altogether, and the rest of it was active reserve time.
So when you had re-enlisted, what was your MOS from when you'd re-enlisted until you'd retired?
Well, when I excuse me, when I re-enlisted, I was still infantry, and I was an instructor in a PLDC school back in Illinois. And I was also a policeman in civilian life. And I had a friend who was an FBI agent who used to be an Army CID tell me I should look into that. So I did, and I applied for Army CID, got accepted, went to the CID school then at Fort McClellan, Alabama, and became a CID agent in the reserves. And that's what I was until the time I retired. Retired as a special agent CW4 from the reserves out here.
So
I was with
during your reserve time, you were also like for your civilian job, you were also in law enforcement.
Yeah, I was basically did the same thing in civilian life. I was a policeman with the Peoria, Illinois Police Department. I was a detective with them, and in CID investigated the same thing in the military that you did in civilian life. So it was just different paperwork, you might say. But so that benefited me, I think, a lot in the Army CID because I had a lot of experience already doing that when I first went in. Matter of fact, a lot of your Army Reserve CID agents are policemen in civilian life. A lot of them. And if you look back, a lot of your reserves and National Guard people are teachers and policemen or firemen. But see a lot of teachers in there too because uh, it gives them a good job. They uh, they have the summers off for the most part, where they could do their active duty and things like that. But I benefited from that. I retired. I get a pension from the Army Reserves. It's just the same thing as a regular pension, except you have to wait till you're 60 when you to get it.
Right.
So it sounds like a commercial for the Army Reserves. I know.
So you had to go to warrant officer school.
Yes, I did at Fort McCoy, Wisconsin.
So for those that are going to watch this that don't really know too much about warrant officer school, can you explain that and your experience?
Well, it's well, it's kind of like instead of OCS, they call it WOCS, Warrant Officer School. And there's different ways you can do it. On the reserve side, you go there for 4 weeks. And you have to do a bunch of correspondence courses, and then you go up. Well, it used to be Fort McCoy. Uh, I'll say it was 5 weeks. Yeah, and when you graduate, you become a W1 in that MOS. Where you have to have that MOS before you can even apply to be a warrant officer in that MOS. And then you become a W1 once you graduate from that. And the rest of it's just like the regular military.
How much of a focus does the school have to teach attention to detail? I've heard that the course is very heavy on attention to detail.
Oh, as far as the warrant officer schools, oh yeah, a lot of attention to detail. Yeah, on how to write memorandums, how to fold your socks. I mean, very, very. I can remember you couldn't have coffee the first week. You had to write a memorandum requesting coffee, and they would keep sending it back, sending it back. If you had one paragraph too long, the line's not just right, they would find any excuse to keep sending it back.
I'm just trying to get a cup of coffee, daggone it.
Yeah. And finally, they would approve it, and then you had to give them a plan how you were going to get a cup of coffee. It got kind of ridiculous sometimes, but you get used to it. But then after that, all the coffee you wanted, So it wasn't that bad. And we had a few Vietnam veterans in the class, not too many, but we had a few. By the time I retired, I can only remember maybe one or two other Vietnam veterans in my area that were still in the reserves, just because of age, if nothing else. I probably would have stayed in a little longer, but once you're 60, uh, you, they have to let you retire. Uh, the unit that I set up here in the 225th CID unit here in Phoenix is still there. It's still operating. And I know they've sent quite a few people to Iraq and Afghanistan in the last 10, 15 years. So, and so I feel like I'm one of the lucky ones. I not only made it back, I got to finish my career in the military. And I think a lot of that is being thankful, Sergeant Otero. He's one of those guys you'll never forget. So,
One last question for you.
anything else?
Yeah, one last question for you. Are you a member? Are you a member of any? Are you a member of any veterans organizations now?
Oh yeah, VFW. I've been a member of all of them at one time or another. I've been a member of the American Legion. I've been a member of the DAV, VFW. Uh, I'm still a member of the VFW. That's just because it's close. You know, it's handy for me to get to. And matter of fact, my daughter and my son-in-law are also members of the VFW. So we get to go there together once in a while. When I was in Iraq, my daughter was in Iraq with 101st Airborne. I got to spend 10 days with her in northern Iraq. And that was another thing I'll never forget. So I feel lucky just being able to do that. My battalion commander uh, let me go up there so I could spend some time with her because they were getting their combat patch uh, after the invasion of Iraq. And I got a picture of me and her together with our 101st Airborne patches on the right shoulder when she got hers presented to her. And that was kind of a special moment for me. So,
I'll bet.
and she's home now, and her husband's home. He just retired from the National Guard. She's still in the reserve. She went back into the reserves also. Uh, Matter of fact, she's a major now, and she recruits for West Point. So she's
Wow.
got a good job. She graduated from West Point in '99, and I was still in Army CID at that time. I used to go out to West Point and work in their CID office uh, for my 2 and 3 weeks during the year, and so every time they wanted somebody out there for help, I always volunteered because I could go out there. I'll stay
Right.
2, 3 weeks, whatever. I don't care. I got to see my daughter while I was out there, so that worked out real good. And I spent time with my daughter at Fort Bragg when she was in the 82nd. Matter of fact, when I got promoted to CW3, she was there as a first lieutenant, and she got to pin my bars on to me at the ceremony. And the battalion commander of the CID unit at Fort Bragg was very gracious about that. And he was kind of a nice guy. So, what else? So I have a lot of good memories and to compensate for the bad ones. Yeah, and I tell a lot of the young soldiers, the Army's put me in some of the worst places I ever been. but they've also put me in some of the nicest places I've ever been. A lot of good memories and a lot of bad memories. You just got to learn to focus on the good ones and try to forget the bad ones. That's all you can do. So I don't know what else to say.
You said everything I could have possibly asked you for right now. And
Okay.
I definitely look forward to the follow-up interviews also. And thank you very much, sir, for sharing everything that you have. Freedom is not free, and you've paid quite a price for my freedom. And for that, I'm sincerely grateful, sir.
Well, okay. Anything I can do to help Sergeant Ontario, I'll be glad to do it. So,
Cool, sir.
okay. Okay.